Okay, good day, everyone, and welcome to the last week of our grad school series. We started since the beginning of this month, and so far, in every week, we've been having different topics and been having people come talk to us. And this week is no different. So, I would begin my little presentation before I bring in the um, our speaker. So yes, before we proceed, here the ground rules. By now, I think everyone knows our ground rules. Be respectful to everyone in this call. Keep your microphone muted, or if you don't want to share your video, as a participant, you can turn it off, and so that we can hear everyone speaking, and just to basically minimize background noise. Um, Also, engage actively by sharing your thoughts. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat section. And if you are to speak, kindly wait for one person at a time, just for us to be properly ordered. And let's keep the discussion around what we're here for. We should not go out of topic. Um, Feel free to ask questions during the Q&A section. And lastly, have fun, enjoy, and connect with other people. And I hope everyone would have a good time when we're done. So, yeah, since we started, we've been telling people about this community, and this week again is no different. So, who are we? We are a community that um, is committed to building people in terms of their skills in the AI area, and we welcome contributions from various people, and we welcome people to come learn and share their knowledge. So, what do we offer as a community? We offer things like our technical events. We have monthly technical sessions. We have study groups. We have reward projects. We have networking opportunities, showcasing talents, and we have a resource repository. So, and many more actually. So, when you join the community, you will have access to so many things like this. So, the agenda for today is simple: welcome, the session, Q&A, and then we have our announcement and we wrap up. So today is week 4, and it's our speaker session. Today is not a parasite chat that we've had or been having. We have a speaker-led session today, and the topic is on thriving in grad school. So from week 1, where we spoke about the decision, making the decision between either a master's or a PhD, to your application process in week 2 to week 3, which is funding. So after you get funding, or you are yeah, you've gotten funding and now you're in school, how do you thrive in grad school? Because it is quite different from undergrad. So how is it something that you can thrive or excel inside? And we have our lovely speaker, who is Mary Ogbuka Kenneth, who is a PhD candidate at Imperial College in London. And the moderator is me, the person that you're seeing there. But today is not about me. We're going straight to our lovely speaker. So, who is Mary? Mary is a PhD researcher at Imperial College London, where she studies how AI systems understand human communications across text, audio, and video. Her work focuses on making AI more fair, accurate, and culturally aware. She has published over 10 peer-reviewed papers, built her own AI data sets for AI research. Like, this is too much, and developed tools that have been deployed publicly. Beyond her research, she teaches and supports students at Imperial and supervises master's students. She's currently transitioning from academia into industry with a growing interest in responsible AI and how organizations can build and deploy AI systems that are safe, fair, and regulation ready. She believes that good AI research should be accessible, practical, and built with people in mind. And this is a very, very like I'm even ready like to I've gotten my notes, I've gotten everything because with this bio alone, I'm sure that she's going to over deliver to us today. So I'm done with my talk, I'm done with everything. Over to you, Mary.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God you can hear me because I forgot my headset at my office in the uni. So I was worried about
Um,
having the meeting without my headset. So it's good you can all hear me. Okay, I let me share my screen so that you could see. Okay, let me give me a minute. I'm trying to share my. Okay, okay. And you see my screen?
yeah, okay.
Okay, you can see the slide. Oh, perfect. Okay. And so thank you, moderator, for the introduction. Thank you for the warm welcome. And I hope Nigeria is not as hot as London right now. My fan is on, so we are trying to adapt to the weather at this point. So today, as she mentioned, we're going to look at striving in grad school. I'm currently in my final year PhD. I just have about 1 or 2 months. So I think I am well equipped to talk about this topic. And please, if you see me looking at this side of my screen, it's because I'm projecting the slide on my second screen. It's big, and when you work so long in tech, you can't see on small screens. So I have to use big screen to see. Okay, so she already introduced me, so I don't think I will talk so much about this. So, as you know, I'm Mary Ogbuka Kenneth, currently a PhD researcher at Imperial. My work in simple term is humor styles. So I do AI to applied psychology across text, audios, and video. How can you combine these stuff? And I'm also a graduate teaching assistant. I started since my first year to teach and supervise. Supervision started this final year because you need to get experience, but I started teaching earlier from first year, assisting in labs. I have over 12 peer-reviewed papers. By this year, hopefully it gets to 13, and which I am first author in about 10. And we're having this topic today because I have lived the experience and I want to use my experience to tell you one of the best ways to go through grad schools for those that are interested. And the what I'll be presenting today applies both to masters and PhD. But if you're in PhD right now, planning to do a PhD, this will apply more to you since masters is not as long as a PhD, even though they have a lot in common, but PhD is PhD, so you can't compare. So why do grad school feel different? It's a simple thing because undergraduates, the moment you come in, you have like 10 courses, and you have what do they call it? Is it weight for each course? And they will tell you if you get 70, it's A, if you get 60, it's B. And with that kind of structure, you already know what you're going to do. A teacher just comes, teaches you, study for tests, do your assignments, and that is it. But now, when it comes to grad school, no one tells you something. Is you are all alone. No one is trying. No one is going to help you. Yes, your supervisor is there, but you do 90% of the work. Your supervisor is just there to guide you 10%. So yeah, since it's self-directed work, it's you can't measure the progress. And when you can't measure your progress, it now feels quite overwhelming. And managing the uncertainty is also something that is very difficult. Always wrapping your head, feeling guilty when you are trying to relax with friends because you have a research to finish. So those are one of the gaps we all have to learn to manage. Now, one of the ways to manage, speaking of managing, is I don't know, have any of you heard of these priority matrix? These are particular priority matrix by Heisenhower. Exactly. I'm sure you would have, there's not how you'd be in grad school, you wouldn't have come across this because you would have read a lot of health, what do they call it, self-help books to know how to manage your life. So looking at this quadrant now, we could see, which is one of the things I also do myself, is I always have this schedule. In fact, today, before this meeting, I already wrote my to-do list. What do I want to do? After writing everything, I looked at which ones were not so important and are also urgent. I moved it off my to-do list. So I'm also practicing this. So let me just explain this matrix for those people that are not aware of it, and for those aware of it, just to refresh your memory. First, the first quadrant, which is the most important one, urgent and important. How do you even know what is urgent and important in your grad school? Anytime I'm drifting away from my grad school, maybe I'm doing something else, I will always remind myself, your priority is what? Your PhD. Your priority is your PhD, which means I've understood that the most important thing is my PhD. And it's also urgent. Even though it takes like 3-4 years, depending on university, it's urgent because everything I do each day will determine where I will be in that 3 to 4 years. So now that I already know that, as you notice, I wrote thesis deadline, which is urgent. The moment, for example, at my uni, the moment you get your thesis deadline, you don't submit. And imagine you being an international student, you might be kicked back to Nigeria. So that is urgent, that is important, since the master's or the PhD is the most important thing. Your advisor's request, when your supervisor gives you a timeline and a deadline of things to do, those are important and urgent matter. So those are your priorities, no matter what. Every other thing is secondary. Then the next one is the ones that are not urgent, but are very important. Remember when I mentioned about things that will lead you to do the final research, which involves reading research papers, writing, learning. For example, I've done a lot of self-taught learning during my PhD. Fun fact, I never programmed in Python before my PhD. I always programmed the MATLAB and Java. During my PhD, my supervisor was like, "Oh, Mary, we have to do it in Python." I said, "Yes, sir." Guess what? I went to YouTube and started learning Introduction to Python for Dummies. So those are one of the important things, but not urgent, and it's required for you to progress. So you have that. Then the next thing is urgent, but not important. Is like admin email. One thing I want you to learn is emails, sometimes we can feel it's very important, but I've lived that experience. Yes, they are, but they are urgent, but not important. So learn how to delegate 30 or 1 minute time block in a day to reply and respond or look at emails. If the only email that will be most important to you will be your advisor's email, but just make sure you have a certain time, because if you're always checking and refreshing your email, you'll be too distracted trying to do admin stuff and you will be drained. The human brain don't like too much stress of various things all at once. Then the last quadrant, of course, is the not urgent, not important. How many of us are guilty of Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or is it X or Facebook? Especially LinkedIn, you think when you are there, you are very productive. Oh, I'm trying to network for my future. Biko, you're not. That is not important. That is not urgent. So focus on other things. Those are low value tasks, okay? But of course, during your rest day, you can decide to do those things, but not during the time you need to work. So this is how you can divide your work, and it would help avoid you being so overwhelmed. So how can you plan your day? Let's make it realistic, you know? So one of the most realistic thing is time management. Plan the week. every time. In fact, if I could turn my system, you would see I have these almost every month. I have this, what do they call it? Paper. I use pen and write a timetable. Yeah, you know the way we wrote timetable in secondary school and put on the wall. I still do that in this big age right now. I have that timetable. I plan the week for the month, the most important thing I'm going to achieve. And one of the things I do is you have to understand how your brain works. If you work very well, for example, in secondary school, I was a night owl. I read so much in the night. But now here, because being a night owl is not good for my health. Not everyone knows that you need sleep to actually survive. So I have to adjust myself. So my brain is most relaxed in the morning. Most people's brain are actually most relaxed when they wake up in the morning and they are able to do deep thinking. And trust me, grad school work, if you want to get a quality work, you need your brain as relaxed as possible to get it done if you want your best work to come in. And working under pressure, I don't recommend. Working under pressure, you will produce something, but it might not be the quality you want. So always give yourself the space so that you won't break down or burn out. So morning block, as I said, you can do deep work like writing, coding, analysis, those things that you need intense brain power. Do it when your brain is at the max. Then midday, you schedule, you have your meetings, your check-in. So a practical thing I do is I try to move all my meetings to Thursdays. Why is that? Is because my group has meetings every Thursdays. My PhD group, we have meetings every Thursdays. So because of that, anybody like my student I was supervising, I moved my meeting to hers on Thursdays, a different time. When anyone wants to meet me, I also mentor high school students too, right now for research project. I also move their meetings to Thursdays. So I try to cluster all my meetings to Thursdays so that Thursdays, the moment I do deep work morning till 11:30 when I meet my students, I already know that the remaining dates for meeting. Let me use up the whole brain power for meeting for that Thursday. Then Friday, I know I'm not meeting anyone. I focus deeply on my PhD. So I sacrifice one full day for meeting. So you could also do that. That is one thing I do to help manage it, because sometimes these meetings and everything, we wouldn't know, but you get drained and that reduces your productivity. Then afternoon, you can do, why I said experiments, coursework, and reading is, if reading requires you to do so much brain power, you can do it in the morning. For me, I read mostly in the morning. I don't do it afternoon. But these are assumed to be a little bit lighter than analysis and writing, because writing, you need more brain power than reading. Then, of course, end of the day, try to say, okay, what have I achieved today? And you plan your day for tomorrow. One thing I could advise you about the plan your day tomorrow, it doesn't have to be something extensive. Just check, what did I achieve today? What is that thing that I need to do tomorrow? The moment you have it, it really works like magic, because when I wake up in the morning, the thought of me saying, oh, what am I supposed to do today? Do you know, only that thought discourages me to even start the day. Sometimes I use 2 hours to figure out what I'm trying to do, or I'll be like, let me just lick ice cream and watch a movie. I've already started my day discouraged. But when I just write that point, I wake up, what am I supposed to do? I check it, I see what I'm supposed to do. Immediately, I'm already into it. And before you know it, it feels amazing to see you started off. And by the time you start early in the morning, even if it's 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., you're already tired. Guess what? You have already worked long hours during the day. You don't have to work till midnight to know you're productive. You would have maxed out what you are doing. Yes, avoiding burnout. This is easier said than done. So I have expressed burnt out like twice. In fact, there was a time I was burnt out that if you said research, I don't even know whether you're trying to say reflect, I would just assume it's research and I would get offended. So, and that was what burnout did to me. So I don't want you to get there. That's why I'm presenting this to you. And one of the things is set working hours and stick to them. Yes. It's very difficult to do this, but it works. Any week or any month, I decide that, okay, I'll be in school. Since I'm a morning person, I leave the house 6, I'm in school 7. I said, okay, I want to work 7 till 4 or 6. Okay, I work too much, so I work till 6 sometimes. So, but the moment it gets to that 6, I don't work again. You just see me close off my laptop, pick my bag, ask my friend, where are you guys? We go out for a drink or something. I just stick to that time of block. And I noticed with that, when I set a working time, I'm able to have time to meet with my friends more. I'm able to play sports more. I love playing sports. I'm able to go to the gym. Of course, you have to be healthy to do research, okay? So all those things, setting time and sticking to them is what helps me do that. Take real lunch break away from your desks. We PhD students, I have a desk in uni. The moment it's time for lunch, you see me on top my table with my headset. I am writing, eating like this. It's not healthy. Leave your decks. I told you anything I'm going to say today is out of experience and it doesn't help. So leave your decks. That help you. When you leave your decks, if it means eating with one of your colleague or something, at least 1 hour lunch, then you come back, you see your brain will be refreshed again. And one tip from me is when having lunch, don't eat to be filled up. When you eat to be full, you get tired by the time you go back because food slows down your metabolism. Your body now is divided since it's trying to digest the food while your brain is also trying to use your body to work. So when you are full, it gets more difficult for your body to manage it. So when you eat not to be so full, but not hungry, and relax, then your brain and body will be able to manage the tasks after lunch. And yes, 1 full day off per week. As a PhD student, this advice is so strange to me, but I have to start doing it. Today, for example, do you know I tried by all means not to work today? I'm like, it's Sunday, you have to rest. Resting feels like we are wasting our time. It's just in the DNA. You feel like, oh, I should have been doing this. Maybe I should be the next Elon Musk using this time to rest. But no, you need to rest to actually be the next Elon Musk. So let's have that in mind. And small win counts. Log them on daily. Don't be an ungrateful person. It would burn you out fast. Don't say, oh, I should have achieved 101 stuff. You have achieved 50. You have achieved that 50. How can you move to get the next 50 to your goal point? And so one of the ways you can reframe, just as I said, set realistic weekly goals. So instead of setting daily goals is a crap. These 24 hours, they'll be like, but we all have the same 24 hours. We do, but our brain capacity is also in a different pace. And the person, I cook a lot, but any brain power I use to cook is different from the brain power you need to do research, especially in a tech field like AI and machine learning, which is moving so fast that you're always running on anxiety. So you have to set weekly goals so that by the end of the week, and trust me, by the time you have weekly goals, you have higher chances of hitting that goal than having daily goals. Identify your personal warning signs of burnout. For me, it's very easy. Sleep. The moment I'm feeling sleepy like this, my eyes is going round, merry-go-round. I know that my body can't take it. If I'm working from home, ensure I just close my laptop, go and lie down. Sleep for like 1 hour. When I wake up, my brain boots, takes 30 minutes to boot, and I work perfectly as if I just woke up in the morning. So that is one of the warning I know. Talk to someone, your peer, mentor, counselor. That would help if you have someone to trust. If you don't want to talk to your mentor or counselor, you could talk to your peer. For me, I talk to my peer a lot about this whole thing, and it has really helped me because your peers are also in your shoes, so they know what you're experiencing and what you're passing through. And with that, it's always easier to come out of things when you're talking to people that can relate to it than people that are superior to you. So those are one of the people I think that is the top of my priority personally, but you could talk to mentors or counselors. And most importantly, Universities know why they gave PhD 3 years. They know why they gave masters 1 or 2 years. 1 year, 18 months or 2 years. PhD 3 to 4 years, some 5 years. They know the reason because it's a marathon, not a sprint. So always have that in mind. You can't achieve a full PhD in one day. So let's look at the most interesting part, your advisor's relationship. One thing I will tell you categorically is everybody's experience varies in their PhD based on their advisors. Who your supervisor is will greatly affect how your PhD goes. Let me just give you these simple something that happened to me during my master's. So my supervisor were brainstorming a topic, and when he said, "Oh, are you happy with this topic we chose?" So I'm like, "Yes, sir, I'm happy with the topic. Let's go for it." So when I said that, in my thoughts, of course, that thought, I'm saying it out loud, I said in my mind, a happy advisor is a happy student. So why wouldn't I like it, Shay? Me, I know I can work on it. I'm just this kind of person that I was obsessed to machine learning. So I told myself, as far as the work is machine learning, I don't mind. It doesn't matter which topic it's on. So, and I, from beginning, I knew a happy supervisor is a happy student, and I played on that card and it worked well for me. So the first thing you would do is have an explicit conversation with your supervisors on week 1. Don't shy away from that conversation. Even if you're an extrovert, throw that extrovert out of the window for 1 hour and have that conversation with your supervisor. Ask them, should you meet bi-weekly, that is twice in a month, or 4 times in a week? Fix that date, but make sure it's not once in a month because you will need guidance. Try and make it at least twice in a month, bi-weekly. That would be very relevant for you. Then agree on communication style, feedback timeline. When I mean communication style, do they prefer you to reach out to them by email? Like my uni, we have Teams where you can chat directly. So email or Teams. For example, I chat with my colleagues mostly on Teams, my supervisor by email. So you have to know stuff like that. And understand their priorities, not just yours. You know, sometimes you can come in delusional on all the things you want to achieve. Is your supervisor on the same page with you? Do you even know why they accepted you and what they want to achieve with you being their supervisor, with you being their student, their supervisee? So you have to find that out. That is one of the things you have to know. So having that, this is what my supervisor expects. This is what I want. Then you look for how to merge it yourself as an independent researcher to get to the goal post where your supervisor is happy, you are happy. Clarify what good progress looks to them. For you, good progress might be, oh, if I'm able to meet a university timeline each year. For them, good progress might be you have to publish 2 papers a year or at least 1 a year. Or some might be that even if you publish 1 in 2 years, it must be to the best conference in the whole of machine learning. For example, NeurIPS, ACL, ICML, you know, those venues. So you have to be clear, what is that they want? Having that at the first will help you arrange. That will save you a lot of back and forth for the next 3-4 years. This does a lot of work. And ask about their past students, what they worked on. Funny story. So when I was applying to Imperial, I reached out to a past student of my current supervisor, and I told him, I'm applying to this lab, and I noticed you are a student that is finishing. So I asked him, I tried to do amebo about my supervisor, you know, from him to know who my supervisor is. And he told me that my supervisor, he said everything positive, and that gave me the encouragement to go forward and apply to the group. But knowingly to me, do you know this guy snitched? I went to tell my supervisor that I asked about him. And my supervisor never mentioned it. It was in my 2nd year. He was like, oh, Mary, I heard that you did some investigation about me. I'm like, oh, when did I do that? Could it be me? So that is one of the things, but that really helped my decision in choosing that. So of course, and my supervisor is always happy to discuss about his past students, what they did, how they approached it, and that has been helpful. So I encourage you to do that. And the next thing is, how can we get more from his supervisor? Now we have talked about how to approach it, your first week and your first month with them. But now, when you have set the meeting, you know the expectations, you know everything. how are you going to continue for the next 3 to 4 years? What are you supposed to do? It's a long time, you know, same time with undergraduate. First of all, what I do is before I go into each meeting, I have bi-weekly meetings with my supervisors. I summarize what is that thing we discussed in the last meeting. I'm aware of it. Then I put in 2 to 3 questions I want to ask if maybe there is more things I need to get out from this meeting. Try to make sure you get things out from that meeting. And when I say flag any blockers, like when, for example, when I do some experiments and the results we're expecting or I was expecting does not match with reality, which happens more often than you can imagine, I just have that down to try and ask them if they know anything about this and possible directions they think I might go about it. Then during the meeting, yes, I have my notebook for my supervisor's meeting. I'm with pen and book. I have jotter all the time. I have like 10 jotters if possible. So you see me, I'm just writing down anything that any points they give. Of course, I'm not going to write down every little point. Anything that they say that you know it's important for you to remember and to handle, you put it down. Ask for clarification. Don't be oh yes member. Every little thing, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. What you don't understand, ask, please. That is one way to save yourself of, I said, but you said, don't do that. Then when the meeting is ending, I ask them, so if I can recap what we agreed on, this is how I go about it. I now list it out. Sometimes you'd be like, they'll say, oh, no, it's not that. This is this. So that is that. And most importantly, ask them, which one do you think I should prioritize? Sometimes they might just tell you go ahead with, but at the end of the day, it's good to ask that. But when you start your work, you would know. But asking them, since they are more advanced in the field than you, it will save you making some unnecessary assumptions. Then lastly, after the meeting has ended, okay, that is it. Would you just jump and leave? No, you don't. You sit down, look at it and reflect, okay, this is what they said I should do. Then that your to-do list or that your timetable, go back the to-do list, some of the things that were there yesterday, given the new updates, you would know which one shouldn't be there anymore because priorities would have changed. But if priorities has not changed, it's the same thing, you can adapt based on what is there. Then you move forward. Most importantly, follow up on promised item. If you tell your supervisor, okay, I will deliver in 1 week, Biko, deliver in 1 week. That they said your word is your honor. So when your supervisor trusts what you said, then they can vouch for you in any setting and any table. Your supervisors remember, in future, they will write recommendation letters for you. So you should allow your supervisor to have that trust that at least when you say you will deliver something, you would. And if you know you can't deliver on what you promised, please send them an email or any communication channel and tell them, oh, I know we agreed on this. I can't deliver this because this happens. These people are humans. They understand. Academia, we are humans. They understand things happened and they would always adjust. So they value transparency. So it shows that you kept your promise and you're a transparent person. So have that in mind. But if it's not something that is so urgent, please follow up and deliver the items. Don't be sleeping for 3 days and you're not going to write that you were sneezing. That is a lie and not transparency. So try to keep it up that way. And so now, one thing you will face so much in research is feedback, not just from your supervisor, from the department. And if you have how many of you have published paper here before, have sent your papers to publications? Have any of you sent papers? Good. It means you have received feedback. Oh, someone said that supervisors also students. No, trust me, for PhDs, no, they can't be students. Your PhD supervisors have to have PhDs already. Most of them must be associates, like mine is a professor, like very, very old professor. My colleague, her own supervisor, is an associate professor. Some are doctors, but they are senior lecturers, people that are already in academia with years of experience. So no, your supervisor cannot be a student. They are lecturers and academicians and people with experience, and they must all have PhDs, nothing less. So when the feedback one, in academia, there's this inside joke we have. Reviewer two, reviewer two, reviewer two. Reviewer two, we finish. How would I put it? Reviewer two will make your eyes, is it your life, flash before your eyes? So that is what we're going to talk about now. Not just how your supervisor, you're going to get feedback from your supervisor, even from reviewers. The academia is brutal. That is just what I'll tell you. So be ready for feedback all the time. That's why right now, academia has built me in a way that I'm always open to feedback. No matter what someone says as feedback, even if I want to get angry at that moment, I don't. Yeah, we are humans. You still get upset with some negative feedback, but I still sit down and look at those feedback to really see if the weaknesses were really there and how I could navigate. So you see, it separates feedback from your identity. Not because your supervisor or reviewer and said, this work is not even worth publication, throw it to the bin. It does not mean you are the one being thrown to the bin. It's not you. It's just maybe the work was not clear enough, or the way you understood it is not the way they understood it. So just push it away from you. You're not the same person as your work. I had to learn that, and I'm telling you, don't do that at all. It doesn't serve you in any way. In fact, it's so negative. It doesn't serve you. Ask what would make this stronger all the time when receiving feedback. When you're having meeting with an expert, always ask yourself, if A plus B will make the acceleration go faster, would multiplication increase the acceleration? Always ask for feedback. What will make this stronger? Is it the way I worded it? Is it the way I did the experiment? Could it be the model or something? Take 24 hours before reacting to harsh criticism. This one, I do it very well. Last year, I sent my work to a very top conference. I received a rejection. I cried. Yes, I cried. It still stings because your work is your baby, you know. You poured your soul all night for like months and they just reject it. Of course, I did cry. And what happened is the moment I was going through that feedback, immediately as I was crying, I felt like a failure at that instant. Yes, it happened to me. I think it was late 2 years back. So when it happened, what happened is I spoke to my dad on the phone. I cried so much. He said I should just sleep it off. I slept off. I didn't look at the feedback. After 24 hours, the next day, when I was in a more calm state, I opened and read the feedback again. Looking at the feedback, I could actually see that what they were pointing out was true. And that rejection, when I looked at it and I just realized that, even if I added this to this paper will really be strong. And these people were just trying to make me a better researcher. Because if they just agreed, if they just accepted the paper with this state, I wouldn't grow. I wouldn't know that there was a better way to have done this, you know. And that was how I started seeing things. And thank them even when it hurts. Yeah, we do that so much in academia because you have to reply to feedback on papers. Or even your supervisor send you a feedback. You'll be like, thank you for your feedback. Yeah, even though you're angry, that is what you will do because it takes energy and time for people to look at your work and give feedback. And trust me, anyone that's giving you feedback, whether it's good or negative feedback, they have your best interest at heart. Always see that. And managing conflict. If a conflict arises, address it early or directly. So there was one time I had a little dispute with my supervisor on something. I was feeling down about it because he's the kindest soul ever. So I had to meet him to talk about it. He said, no, that why would I see it that way? That no, that is normal that we had a little bit back and forth. That is because this is how he understood it. And I was trying to explain why I did it that way, which is normal. That it's good I was defending the work. It shows I understood my work. And there's nothing bad in me defending my work. So you see, me going heads on to talk to him about how I felt it was, I later found out that it was really nothing. It was just me as a PhD student overthinking everything as usual. So use the I statement. I felt unclear about, and don't do accusative statement like you were not clear. Don't use that statement unless you don't want to grow in academia. And I don't think even you yourself, you would want someone to use such statement on you. So don't do that. And also know if your institute has like a conflict advocate, someone that helps in resolving conflict, and increasing independence is the goal. Yes, yes, yes. You can't be doing a PhD and be relying on your supervisor. If you notice, I said meetings can be twice a month, which means the remaining days, and that twice a month might just be 1 hour meeting, each meeting, max 2 hours, which means the remaining every day of that 1 month, it's you. And that is what PhD does for you. You must be an independent researcher. Your supervisor is only to guide you on, okay, this method, have you heard of this method or something? But you'd want to do the whole reading, the whole research. They don't even know so much about your work like you do. The only advice they give you is based on the general knowledge. They have general knowledge of the field than you. So based on their general knowledge and experience, they could, for example, now, given I've experienced a PhD and maybe a master's student trying to supervise another undergraduate student, I think I might be in a better position to supervise, given the kind of experience I've gotten in research. I know some do's and don'ts of the research that a master's student wouldn't, but it doesn't mean I will know the specific topic of the undergraduate student. So that is one of the things your supervisors bring in. They bring a broader perspective to you. Now, most important thing is you have all these things. You already know what you do, your supervisor. How can you choose the research problem? This is where we get stuck. You're always thinking of, yes, machine learning moves so fast. This field is so fast that it can drive you crazy. Now, the big question is, how can I choose a research problem that matters? Since OpenAI, Anthropic, Mistral, they are all fighting. Microsoft, the tech giant, they're always releasing models. It now feels like there's no use for ML researchers. So now, with this fast pace, this is our current world, how do you choose a research that matters? So there is one way to do this. You always go the old school way. Read literature. Ask yourself, which part of ML am I interested in? Are you interested in inference, ML optimization? Are you interested in mental health, like I was, physical health? Or are you interested in cybersecurity? Are you interested in, different parts of the world? What really ticks for you? And when you look at this, ML can really be applied to different parts. Are you interested in building foundational models, the ones that will build the neural networks, the ones that will build the next large language models? Are you interested in these things? Though they are called the foundational models. And if you have that interest, then now ask yourself, is this interest important to the field? You check for research papers. Are they research papers? Are they things that are going there? Then you check feasibility. Don't be too, I'm a very, very ambitious person. But there is difference between being too ambitious and being unrealistic. Don't go and choose what you can't solve within the space of 3 years or that 4 years in a quality way. So that is how you get your sweet spot. So read deeply, just as I mentioned literature, you have to read deeply before you decide on the direction. You just don't wake up and say, oh, I saw someone that I was speaking to and they were using one AirPod and they said it was not clear. Why don't I do my research on AirPods? Do you know how many people have done AirPods? What is that about AirPods that it's unique that you want to bring into it? What is that niche thing you want to bring into it? And the only way is read, read, read. In fact, as a reviewer, I also review papers. So I've reviewed for top conferences like NeurIPS, ACL. I'm also currently reviewing for them. And sometimes I'm that reviewer too. So, and as one of those reviewers too, the moment I see a paper that the author has not read deeply, I know it's there. Because they can't really pinpoint what makes their research different or unique compared to other papers and how they're all interconnected. Look for open problems in recent survey papers. In fact, one of the easiest ways is if if reading so much paper feels too overwhelming, one way to start, practical way, I do that a lot is, for example, if I want to read about large language models, the problems in the field, I just go and search LLM's latest surveys or review papers. So when we review papers would have read like 100 papers or 150 papers. And with that, you can easily see what is the trend in the field. And if you see a particular open challenge, go and now look for papers on that particular open challenge and see how you can contribute in that field. So that is one of the ways to do that. Narrow scope. One big, so one good contribution is better than 3 weak ones. Yes, this advice, there is a good and bad to this advice, and I'll be clear with it. The good part is one very strong contribution, the quality, you'll be proud of it, your supervisor will be proud of it, and you can submit it to the top venues in the field, and you will be accepted probably with a reviewer too, or you know how to go around them, and you get that. But it takes a longer time to get quality. But if you are more focused on quantity, 3 weak ones, your supervisor, if they are very ambitious and like quality, and again, depending on your institute, if it's a very high research intensity, it might not fly. And again, it might prevent you from publishing in quality venues where you have to go to venues that people really don't know about. So but the thing is, you have more speed to publish more papers. So now you have to decide. But for me, one good contribution is always better than 3 weak ones. Validate with your advisor, just as I said before going deep. Always tell your supervisor, in fact, there was one time I had this idea in midnight. Guys, you won't believe it. I just did PowerPoint. Boom, 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 because I really wanted to do the ideas. I needed to convince my supervisor. I did PowerPoint. The next day I sent them an email that they should look at this PowerPoint. This is the idea I have. Yeah, I ran it through them before I did it. And it's okay to pivot, but do it cautiously. Sometimes that topic you think is the main thing you want to do, you might get to a place and realize that that topic is not doable. So please, it's fine, but be cautious. It's fine to pivot, but you have to be cautious about that pivot so that you won't be stuck again in the same issue you had previously. And now let's look at, I talked about going deep into papers. Reading papers is not, it's not for the weak. And so how can you read papers efficiently? One of the ways is, because you come across many papers, some papers might have a title, but they might not be so relevant to what you're looking for. So the first thing is you just do a 5-minute pass. I also do that. I just, from title, of course, you delete it out. If the title is okay, read abstract, read conclusion. Before you go deep into any paper, read abstract and conclusion first. When you see the abstract and conclusion makes it, in fact, from the abstract and conclusion, even though the paper might be related to what you're looking for, you already know if the paper will be quality or not and what reading or not. So you could decide to keep or not. So if it's something you will keep, then the second pass is the 1 hour pass. You now start, you look at contribution. What did they say they contributed? So for me, this is what I do is, after reading abstract and conclusion, before I read introduction, I go directly to their contribution to see what did they contribute, how did they claim that they were different from the other literatures. That is the thing I will check. What is their novelty? Because their contribution might say A, while giving the literatures, it does not match. And of course, if you see their contribution is good enough and their related work goes well, then you can now look at their method. And after that, you can go deep reading and re-implement if needed. So re-implement comes in where, for example, now, if the work you want to do, you see this paper that I've already done a method, and within that method, you want to, maybe you found out that using, just like the way the people that wrote Transformer Self-Annotation found out that using I think self-attention within that particular layer and using matrix multiplication within the layer would help with parallel, what do they call it? Parallel computation, whereby everything happens. Yes, so with that, it's so if you know, maybe let's assume you are just trying to change the multiplication part to division or something else, something much more complicated or something that will make it better in inference or solve a particular problem, then you can try to re-implement that existing paper exactly. When you re-implement it, then you will now see how to change within the architecture. So this is how to read a paper effectively. So you dive in. So if you notice, third pass is 4 hours plus. Deep reading, trust me, you can use a full day just to read one paper if you really, really want to understand that paper T to T. So that's why, again, as I said, you'll be wondering why is PhD 3 to 4 years. Yeah, because just reading one paper can take you 24 hours and you might still not have understood what you read. Yes, the most important thing which I've mentioned throughout this talk is writing papers and handling rejection. Importantly, yes, thank God there's AI systems now that will help you to write. But if you're a good writer and a good researcher, you will know that even when AI systems write one sentence for you, you will end up proofreading it 5 times. So that's why you have to start writing early so that AI system, for example, Claude will not use big English that even you yourself you don't understand and finish the paper for you. So start writing early. Don't wait for a perfect result. There's no perfect result. So one of the things I will tell you is how do you know when to start writing and stop experimenting is when you have done extensive experimentation and things really didn't work. Thank God for research in ML now, they accept negative results. So you can report negative results and do in-depth analysis on that. And if your work now beats the benchmark accuracy, then you can stop. You don't have to go any further. It doesn't have to be beating it by 10%. Even if you beat it by 2%, you can stop and start doing your writing. Structure first, story before sentences. So like now, I just finished writing my thesis recently. And what I did is, you won't believe it, I wrote my, table of content. I had my thesis table of content rewritten like 7 times before I started writing. The first one I wrote, I thought it was good. I tried to start writing the thesis. I realized that that content was not good enough. I went back again. But having that table of content made me, when I got the right one, I was very fast in writing my thesis because I was able to know which story I wanted to tell. And I just looked for sentences to tell that story. And writing, writing reveals gap in thinking. Yes, 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 it does. When you start writing, that is when you realize. In fact, the paper I just submitted recently, I'm waiting for my feedback. When I started writing the paper, I finished the experiment, I was just writing and going and going. It was doing the right thing. I realized that there is another experiment I need to do because it was not sufficient giving this other claim. I had to go back to do the experiment, and I could only find out because I started writing. Get feedback on outline before full draft. That is what your supervisor is there for. Rejection reality. Rejection is default to no be failure. I think I'll be rejected. I've been getting heartbreak all the time. I've never gotten that heartbreak from anybody more than academia. So be prepared for heartbreak. It's there too. And don't take it to heart. Even the best professor, even my professors get rejected in papers up till now, and he's very good. Top venues reject papers 85 to 95%. In fact, like the venue I submitted to now, I think they have just 12 to 15% acceptance rate. So now my fingers is crossed I should be in the 12 to 15%. Imagine the remaining 85% will be rejected. Would those 85 say their work was not good? Really, it's not that. And again, one thing you should know is I'm a reviewer, so I can categorically tell you that sometimes when reading a paper, so recently I'm reviewing a data set paper. For me, I focus more on the data set and I decide on my on my, what do they call it, on whether I'm accepting or rejecting. And there is a form we reviewers fill where they ask you how confident are you in your review. That confidence, there is 3 not so confident. I know the field, but I might have missed some things which might have made me to reject. So that is still showing that even the venues know that sometimes the rejection might be because the reviewer does not understand the work so much. And they also tell the reviewers to rate their confidence. And that is also taken into account. Read reviews carefully. They are feedback. It's a woof. And they'll always give you good detailed feedback, especially, in fact, the papers I review now, you won't believe it, but it takes me 4 to 5 hours to review just one. Because, and this is me putting 5 hours of my time to review a paper of someone I don't know from anywhere. And I even read extra papers to make sure I give them as much good review that will be helpful to them as possible. Revise and submit within 4 to 6 weeks. So I did that in 2024 when my first paper was rejected. I read it, reversed, and boom, I sent it to the next venue, which was finally accepted. So that why I said 4 to 6 weeks, you still have the momentum, the energy. You still remember what the paper is all about. So make use of the window. And also to avoid someone else to go and publish the same thing you have that you want to publish. It has now made the paper useless, and I don't think you want that for yourself. And very important thing, I'll rush through this, building your research visibility. I think this one I started learning it on later. Google Scholar. I have a Google Scholar. Guys, how many of you have Google Scholar? Okay, great. That is the most important thing. Google Scholar is very, very important. You need it. If you don't have it, after this meeting, that's the first thing you should go and open in Google Scholar. Then your GitHub, open source your code and links from paper. This, I have to also take this advice because sometimes I'm so stuck with working on my local host that I have some of my research on my GitHub, but I think I have to move more. So this is very important because when you start looking for a job, companies will always ask for your GitHub. Conferences, attend conference, talk to people, just as I mentioned, especially in the field of machine learning. It's good to submit in journals, but please take conferences seriously. Let me give you guys a tip. It's now that I'm in the UK, I've always thought of in Nigeria, I will submit to journals and conferences. I avoided it because you have to pay, it's expensive. But now in the UK, I realized that conference paper in the field of computing speaks more volume than journal papers. Because top venues like NeurIPS, ICML, ACL, EMNLP, name them, they're all conferences. So those are the things you have to consider. But apart from that, even if you don't have a paper and you can afford it, student discount is always there. And there are organizations that pay students to go for conference. Try to do research on that. Attend, meet other researchers. See what your fellow masters and PhD students are doing. That will open your horizon. And that will also help you gain confidence in what you are doing too. Your LinkedIn, post your research. My LinkedIn is not most about my research because I focused it on trying to help students in scholarships like the way I got here. But post about your research and do other things. Try and be active once a month. Don't shy away from it, from LinkedIn. It doesn't mean, as I said, don't go and scroll through it every day. It's not productive. Have your personal site, just a single page, contact, talk about and stuff, and collaborate within your peers and mentors and any other person. Most importantly, I'm looking at time so that in case of questions too, most importantly, imposter syndrome. How many of us have faced imposter syndrome or is still facing it? Or okay, is facing it. Do you people think I face imposter syndrome or I'm facing imposter syndrome? Let me tell you guys something. This is what I said. If I that 70% I wrote is small, I should edit this slide and put 95. 95% of PhD students, or 99. That 1% must be Angel Michael and Gabriel. They have imposter syndrome. Let me give you this example. I have my friend. She has done internship with Google twice. PhD like me. She She just did internship with Meta. She did with Cohere. Now she's doing internship with DeepMind. And she's still doing her PhD at my uni. And she now has papers in New Reefs, in big venues. Yes, I'm telling you, see the achievement. And she's my very, very, very close friend. The other day, I was talking to her. I told her, babe, do you know I was stalking you? She said, what do you mean by stalking me? I said, I went to check your Google Scholar. I went to check this. I said, babe, anytime I look at your profile, I'm so stressed because I remember like 2 years ago, you don't have any of these achievements. I told her, oh, this is how I'm feeling. You know, the whole imposter syndrome. She looked at me and laughed. She then said, babe, are you kidding me? She said that, do you even know that all these interviews I still attend? The way I sweat, sometimes I don't even sleep because of the way I'm reading. I'm spiraling, like I'm so anxious. She said, do you know, even when I submit my paper, they have rejected. There's one of her paper I saw in New Reef, Spotlight. I'm like, oh my God, look at what my mate is doing. I told her, she laughed. She said that, do I know that paper was rejected twice in 2 different venues? It's the 3rd time of resubmitting that paper after putting reviewers' feedback. The 3rd time in New Reefs, they selected it in Spotlight. So you see, someone with that kind of profile was still going through rejection, through imposter syndrome. So please, 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 feeling like a fraud, it's normal to feel it, but it's not a fact. So please don't think you will stop feeling it. That would be a lie. But always know it's a feeling and it's not who you are. Not at all. The moment you have that in mind, you're able to go through it better and process it well. The most capable people experience imposter syndrome the most. Do you know why that is? The more, I've forgotten this philosopher, I don't think it's Socrates, that said, the more you know. When they asked him, tell us what you know, he said, all that I know is that I know nothing. And that is because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. That's why people that are very, very intellectual always feel that they don't know anything because the world is so vast. So just see it that way. So the more you know, the more you actually feel it. So as I mentioned before, it's not who you are, it's just that feeling at the end of the day. So your peers feel it too, as I mentioned, your friends, your colleague, they feel it. My school, if you see the way everybody will be going, is Imperial, second in the world, the best university in the UK. If you see the way they talk about research, but when you go deep, all of us are facing one thing, the imposter syndrome, one way or the other. It's just that they know how to hide it well with how great their research is. Acknowledge it and move on. That is it. The feeling does not help you. Keep your win logs and that evidence will beat your feeling. Anytime I feel imposter syndrome, one thing I remember is how I got like 4 scholarships for my PhDs that I had to pick one. How I got scholarship from my undergraduate to master's. How I got best paper award for a conference. How I did this. So when I remember, I'll be like, sometimes when I look at it, I'm like, this girl, when did you get all these things? I still can't believe it's me. Yes, but those things, I still use it to try and beat that feeling, to show that I have gotten to a particular stage and I'm not a fraud the way I think I am. Most importantly, don't compare her. Like the way I told her, my friend, I was stalking her. And for me, I told her, like, because of course it's not. So when I told her I was stalking you, because I was comparing myself to her. When I spoke with her, I could see her own perspective. So, and it's crazy that this girl, as much as I look at her achievement, this girl admires me a lot. She always says that, babe, with all the hurdles you have gotten, she said, with your background, with everything, the way where you are really, like, she could see my own part. But you know, we human beings, we never see our own. We like looking at another person's own. Please don't do that. Always compare yourself today to you of 6 months ago. The me of 6 months ago did not have the courage to submit my paper to one of the best venues. The me of today submitted it. And in fact, the first review I got, they recommended to accept it. But greedy me, I added some things to see if they will increase my score. Yes. I'm that ambitious. So everyone's timeline looks different. Don't compare your timeline. You don't even know people's background. Some of these people I'm comparing myself to, they were born in the UK, they grew up here. I'm a Nigerian. I came from Nigeria. I didn't even know I would be where I am right now. So some people will tell you, giving you being born in Nigeria is already 10-0. That is not true, but that is kind of. So you really don't, please don't ever compare yourself. That is one way to steal your joy and your mental health. Social media, stay away from social media because people really don't see how their life is. They just come and put it there. And let me tell you fast, if you work hard and you're always busy with your research, you realize that anybody, success is hard work. And if you are really hardworking, you wouldn't have time to be posting on social media because social media takes a lot of time. I have like 450,000 followers in TikTok, but I don't do TikTok for the past 2 years now because I realize anybody that's so ambitious in the field of AI, you want to get somewhere, you can't be doing both. So anybody that has time to be posting on their life on social media, trust me, they are not working as hard as you. So focus on your own life. A peer success is not your failure. We can't continue saying that. It's fact. And on community, please try and hang out with your tribe. Go with people that have same vision as you. For example, this is my friend at my uni, the two of them. I love those girls so much because anytime I want to feel one way or the other, when I speak with them, I'm with them. It's as if something fires up in me. I feel like I can be the next Mark Zuckerberg. Those are the kind of friends you need. You always need, as no matter how motivated or how good you are, you always need career-driven friends around you. With them around you, you can never slack. Even when you are pulling down yourself, they'll always be there to help you up. So try and do that. And no matter how busy you are, try and reach out to those your friends, those career-driven ones, and talk with them. Even if it's just for tea, for coffee, or for a walk, or just to play board games, you can do that and talk it out. And mental health, importantly, find hobbies outside research. Yes, you want to build the next app, you want to build the next foundational model. I hope you people have hobbies. Please put your hobbies on the chat. Let me know the hobbies you have. I hope you're not just on laptop pressing away. Like the stereotype where you wear hoodie and you're typing like this. I only wear hoodie during cold. Look at me, I'm not on hoodie and I don't type away. I played volleyball yesterday for 5 hours. So please have hobbies outside research. That keeps your identity together. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Sleep 8 hours a day. Minimum of 7. Don't be motivational speaker. Your mates are doing something and only sleeping 2 hours. Please, nobody's sleeping 2 hours. You will die before your time. I remember, it's research you're doing. Your brain needs to have rested. If not, you will not achieve anything. And sleep is the best way. Me, I sleep 9 hours, minimum of 8. I like sleep. And anytime I sleep so well, I can walk 8 hours, 10 hours a day back to back. I don't feel exhausted. But that is because I slept so well. So sleep. And try and have mentors. So when I talk about mentors, it must not really be in ML. Maybe you want to see how to convert your ML research into startup, or you're interested in stock market or something. You can have mentors. Like me, I love stock market and finance. So I have my friends I also see as mentors, and we talk about stocks half of the time. Yeah, stock market is one of my hobbies. So you have mentors in different things. It can also be ML. And if it gets so hard, please try and see therapy or go for counseling. That would help. And always reach out to friends. And importantly, do physical exercise. Who here goes for running, jogging, or gym membership is expensive. So maybe as a student, you might not afford it. But I hope you all exercise. In fact, one of my aims is to have abs. A hair, good home workout. If you see the way I'm trying to have abs, I have to be an ML researcher and look so healthy and snatched. So please be healthy, okay, guys? That helps with your mental health. Anytime I exercise, always remember this, a healthy body is a healthy mind. No matter how smart you are, your body is not healthy. Your mind will never keep up. Close to the last slide, life after grad school, what are your options? I'm actually in this specific thing. Academia, so if you want to remain in, so there are basically two options, academia broadly, academia or research. And in academia, we know it's like now, if I want to remain in academia, I'll do a postdoc, go on to go into tenure track, which I become a lecturer, associate prof or reader, then become a professor. And for you to go through this part, you need strong publication records. Someone said academia, okay, they don't have money. After the presentation, during Q&A, we'll talk about that. You need very strong publication record if you want to go into academia. So an academia is a cutthroat environment. It's hard. You need very, very strong publications. People will come with a bazooka to a knife fight in academia. And the positions are limited. Have that, because how many universities do we have in the world? How many academic positions are really there compared to the numbers of PhDs that graduate each year? And as I said, competitive, plan for the long game. When you're in academia now, you need to be applying for grants. So the more money you bring into the university, the more they will retain you. If you don't bring money, they will carry admin work to kill you or just chase you and bring someone that will bring money for them. Then that is one part of academia. And just as someone mentioned, academia pays, but not so well. So I would advise, if you are really going in academia, if you know you are very interested in money and high pay, academia might not be the path for you. But if you have passion for strong research, education, teaching, growing the next generation, then academia is for you. But if you are money obsessed, stay away from academia. There is no money. So the next one is industry. And in the industry, we have the research labs, we have the big company. So in industry as ML, it's either you're going for production or you're still going for research. So let me just explain it in two forms. Research is basically mostly what you do like in the PhD, where you research like frontier labs like DeepMind, Mestra, Microsoft Research, people that do research, read papers, try to change models and publish. But those ones are very few roles. Those include research, applied researcher, research scientist, also research, I think the other one, they call it machine learning researcher, AI researcher, but they're all research. And those ones, you need papers and engineering. They're kind of few, but they are there. Then there is now the engineering one, which is machine learning engineer, data scientist is there, they call it AI engineer. And please, if you know you are into ML, prompt engineering is good, but if you want to build a strong foundation, know how these models work, since anyone could really just wake up and do prompting. And within that industry, if you are trying to go mostly towards engineering, there are a lot of startups. Each day, startups are coming up. So you can decide to work in startup. But mind you, if you are going for startups, you will be jack of all trades. So that's why I said you have to have a generalist mindset. And sometimes they'll give you equity instead of money. They will pay you, but they will give you some part of the money as equity or stock into it. And they are very fast paced. So you have to be, sometimes you can work weekends in startup. So you have to be ready for such things if you want to go for startup. Sometimes you can work long hours in startups if there are deadlines, because it's a fast pace. Sometimes they might employ you as a machine learning engineer. Tomorrow you'll be assisted in the marketing department. Just have that in startup. So the advantage in startup is you would learn a lot of, your skills will improve rapidly, but you have higher chances of burnout and exhaustion. And some startups pay very well. And another thing you should be careful with startups is startups might liquidate within 6 months, and that will now leave you jobless again to come back into this brutal job market. And for you to get into startup, you would have pushed code, maybe production code, experience. And this is where GitHub comes in very, very importantly here when you are moving to startup, and also research labs. So what are the skills employers really value, what they want to see? And just as I mentioned, coding is a must. You can't be doing machine learning and you don't know how to code. You can't be doing machine learning and you have to learn statistics. Like, for example, you have to know A/B test, how to do your statistical comparison, t-test. Yes, I had to learn the hard way when I reviewed paper. System designs, you have to learn how to talk. If you are so introverted, you have to learn how to be extroverted to eat, unless you want to die of hunger when presenting. So you have to think about that. Learn how to explain your work. Don't use big grammars when your audience are not ML audience. Project management, co-authorship, just as I said. And how can you demonstrate this? I mentioned this before. Post publicly, Twitter, LinkedIn, have your blog if you have the energy. If you can't, you don't have to really do the blog part. Have side projects. It might not be easy to have side project during your PhD. So that is not a must if your research is taking so much of your time. But if you can spare time, it's good to do part-time internship. With part-time internship, you can get side projects from that. And most importantly, do your PhD if you can get an internship. Get it. That helps you get some hands-on. Like, oh, you said I wrote it here. Internship is the best differentiator. For example, since I'm an international student, I'm limited to the number of work I can do, but I managed to land 2 internships during my PhD and also land teaching job that took me to another country to do for a month. So those are the ways I try to get practical experiences during the PhD into the industry. And those are the things that make my CV look a bit rich and it's not looking like a wannabe professor. So try to do that. Then, when there is difference between CV and resume, I think we should know this. So in CV, when you are submitting to academia, 2 to 4 pages, fine. Academia is okay, long CVs. Why is that? Because of the value publications. I think my academic CV is 4 pages. Because by the time I put all my academic achievements, boom, 4 pages has eaten up. But my industrial CV, the one I'm trying to use to move to the industry now, is 2 pages. Most people, if you can squeeze it into 1 page, perfect, squeeze it into 1 page. But mine, it's 2 pages. So max 2 page, but squeeze into 1 page if you can. And I think I've already mentioned the same thing. Oh, perfect. Just how you progressed. If you're looking for concrete way to progress during the whole 4 years. So these are basic steps. Year 1, your Google Scholar, LinkedIn. Year 2, apply for internship. That's when you start applying. You have your personal website. Year 3, target roles. Start practicing for interview. Let me tell you guys, bubble break. If you are running from software engineering because of coding for jobs, yeah, if you're applying for ML engineer, you will still do lead code. Exactly. So you have to start practicing for interviews and how to speak. And in 4th year, start applying and negotiating offers. And when they ask you this negotiation, let me just say something in 30 seconds about it. The moment you're going for an interview, especially in the last stage, that they will ask you for the money, please, please, please do your research. Try and find out if you know people that are in that field, if you can find out the range. Don't ask them specific of their salary, they can give you the range. Even if you don't have anyone, go online and search for the average for that role in your country or globally. So let's say, for example, in Nigeria, you have to try and find out what is the range. So when they ask you how much, you don't just go and say, because let me give you an example. So a friend of mine got a job for data science. They asked her how much. She said, how much would she want for the role? She said 30,000. So I was surprised she said 30,000. Of course, I'm talking about in pounds, not in naira. So I was surprised. I thought, why would you say 30,000? It's so small. Are you going to starve? So she said, oh, it's because she was desperate. She really, of course, we're all desperate when you're looking for a job. And later on, she said, but they agreed to give her 45,000. I said, okay, it's fine. But later on, when she started the work, she found out that what they actually pay is 55,000. Do you understand that story? So now she was cut short of the money because she undersold herself. And the job she's doing now for the company, is so much that she actually wish she even told them 65,000. So, but if she did her research, she would have known for that her role, the salary range was 55 to 90,000, and she would have negotiated better. And when you see the salary range, please don't put the lower end of the salary. Always try to put the average or above, so that when you negotiate with the company, you negotiate in the best part possible. So the key takeaway from this section is own your own time. As a PhD student, you are the one to plan your own time. Unlike when you're in school, they'll tell you time to come for lectures, time for lunch. No, this is you. You own everything. Even if you don't work for 1 week, nobody will ask you. By the end of the day, you are the one that is going to suffer for that. Read widely, write early. Just don't read one paper and be stuck to it. Read as much papers as possible. Invest in your advisor's relationship. Supervisor relationship, please, is so important. Don't say, oh, I can do, you cannot. A happy supervisor is a happy student. Always have that in mind. It will save you from headache. Build your visibility now. Let people know about you. Protect your well-being, very important. Like this year, earlier I was very sick. For 1 year, I did not work on my PhD. So you see, health is wealth. Nothing was important. When I was in the hospital, nothing was important than my health. So always have that in mind. When you are healthy, you can achieve everything. Then always plan ahead. Don't follow people that say, I like working in pressure. In PhD, I always working in pressure. You go to mental health hospitals. So avoid pressure working, okay? We all need us to be sane if we need the best work. So that is all from me. Do we have any question?
Does anyone have any questions? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand and we'll see how to go about it. Or you can ask in the chat. Okay, it looks like we don't have any question. For me, I have a question. Actually, I have plenty of questions, but I'll just ask one because of time. So, yeah, as you were talking about the whole research thing and how, at the beginning you mentioned that the whole path, it's different for someone that is probably doing like a master's, because masters are more like sprints because it's always short, just like a year or so. So um in that scenario, how do you handle the pressure? How do you handle um your supervisors? And for people who are quote unquote very, very unlucky to do coursework and research-based masters together, they're doing the two together in such a short period. So how do you go about like doing that, looking at the fact that you did a master's?
So I will give you two examples because I will use the UK system and Nigerian system. Why I'm doing that is I didn't do my master's in the UK, but why I can use the UK system is because I'm supervising a master's student in the UK. I've supervised several master's students. So here in the UK is 1 year, the master's. So as you said, it's very tight. And you still have to do projects and still do coursework. At my university, the coursework is heavy. God. So one thing they do, how the university try to help the students in the sense that first term, they introduce you to your supervisor. Your supervisor will either propose the proposal or you propose what you want. And with that, you people can decide on meeting. So the meeting, each week, if you're having meeting with your supervisor, is maybe just to read research paper. First 1 month might just be you reading research paper, lightweight compared to what you are doing. That is beginning of the term, or doing 1 or 2 experiments. Then the moment there is this period of the week, they give them assignments, like a lot of project work to manage. What happened is that period, the student and the supervisor agreed that like for 2 weeks, they won't meet at all. So the student can focus on just their coursework and focus on their exam. Even during exam periods, I don't meet with my students. for like 2 weeks. They focus on it. So now the school still allows 3 months or 4 months after exam, like 4 months after exam, that the students don't do anything and focus only on projects. So that is when the student now run marathon on projects. But the beginning part, when the course starts, when they are doing courses, they expect the students just to be trying things and not run full marathon on it, and just understand the literature and what they expect to do. So that is one way they do it in the UK system. Then in Nigeria, I will use my own experience. Mine was 18 months. But one thing you should know again is, if I am sure, if I'm correct, or if I remember correctly, you will propose your research and they will assign supervisors to you like second term of your master's. Then when you run full sprint is the remaining 6 months, because master's in Nigeria is 18 months. So that 6 months that is attached to the 18. So 1 year is your courses, the other 6 months is for your project. That is when you run. So that is one way they do it during masters. But one thing I'll tell you for sure is, when it's good to start the project while doing your coursework. But remember, just as I said in that quadrant, priority quadrant, your project at that point during your coursework is important, but is not what? Urgent. So it cannot take the same time with your coursework. So you give your coursework priority. If it means you should stop the research and wait till after your exam, please do that. Communicate with your supervisor if that would affect your main exam. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Thank you very much. We have a question in the chats. It says, thank you very much. I'll be speaking in the conference for first time. What advice will you give? How can I present? I feel some imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, I've said it now. Even to do meeting with my supervisor, my heart used to beat every time. So speaking of the presentation, what I will tell you is, it will not stop beating. Carry that beating hand and shaking hand. Even if your hand is shaking in the mouse, click it, join the meeting. The moment you start talking, that you will feel relaxed. It always comes. As far as you understand your slide and you understand what you want to present, that calmness will always come the moment you start talking. Remember, imposter syndrome is your mind playing games on you, that you are not good enough, you can't do it. But when you start and you are already doing it, your mind does not have any reason to play that game with you anymore. But when it comes to the presentation, that is, I will tell you, if you notice my slide presentation, I used plain colors. I just did it simple, without so much graphics, without too much text. If you notice each slide, I didn't have so much text. That would avoid you trying to read the text, or avoid the audience trying to read the text instead of listening to you. So just have bullet points of the main thing. That will make the presentation easier on the eyes of your audience and also easier in your own mind, since it will allow you to speak more from your own knowledge, and that helps calms your nerve. But reading it direct, it builds your nerve even more, which will show towards the audience. So that is one way to do it. And try to give real world examples during your presentation if you can. That helps you understand the topic more and project, because you don't know who will be in your audience. Even if it's technical, some people will not know that your particular presentation so well, but using real life example makes everyone get engaged in it. And as you can see, as I did, if you can put in some light-hearted talks, you don't have to be too serious, even though it's a conference. That is the advice I will give you.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or we can, proceed. Okay. So yeah, I think we'll just proceed actually, because we are nearing the end. So thank you very much, Mary, for this session. It has been very, very insightful, and a lot of things. I mean, it's a lot of things that have been said that would actually help people that are currently trying to navigate grad school life, or people that are envisaging the whole idea of going to grad school to see how it looks like and how it's totally interesting. I'll use the word interesting. So yes, thank you very much again. And yeah, let me just get my slide back up. Okay.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
Mhm.
And before you do that, I also want to thank you all for what you do, because when I saw the ML community for Lagos, I was quite excited about it, because I know how difficult it is to start up a community. I know because sometimes I want to try to start up something. And when I think of all the effort on top of my PhD and how drained I feel half of the time, I pull back. So it takes a lot of courage, a lot of time. In fact, really a lot of time to do something like this, to bring people in. And I love the fact that ML is moving fast. It's the future. It's AI, it's where it is. And it's good that we in Nigeria, let's move ahead with the technology. Let's be one of the frontiers. It never hurts. And this is where it starts when we have a community like this. And I want to thank you for all what you do. And I wish you good luck. And any way we could support we in ML community in the diaspora, we are still Nigerians. We are going to support and try to move it forward.
Thank you very much for those words. It's nice. We have wonderful people that are doing the work here for us. So it makes things easy and we'll continue to move forward. But thank you very much. And definitely if you have anything, we would reach out and we'll let you know. So yeah, this is actually the end of our grad school series. Where's my slide? Coming on. Yeah, so this is the end of our grad school series since we started, I think, June 8th, and we've had several people come here, a total of 7 speakers now. And I hope everyone learned one or two things that can help them, one or two things that they can take from this month and they can use it in their grad school journey. And hopefully after this year again, we hope to hear more people that will get into grad school. Last year when we did the series, we got some feedback, at least from me, that some people got into grad school and were able to connect with some of the speakers for like help, and they were able to, go into grad school, and now they are enjoying grad school. So in the in the whole continuation spirit, please follow us for more updates. We have our technical sessions, we have several things that are coming, and we have a very, very interesting event, one of the hottest events coming up. I won't say anything yet, but follow us for more updates to know about it. This particular event that is coming up is going to combine research and hands-on workshops. So it's not just going to be we're coming to just maybe talk or something like that, but you would see like real life applications, because here we don't always do talk. It's not talk we're coming to do here. We come here to show the work. So follow us, and yeah, our upcoming event, like every month we have our technical sessions. Um we'll be having our technical session. So please come, register when you get our email and share with people. And yeah, we would like your feedback. So we want to get feedback. What do we do well? What do we do wrong? Um, is there something we can do better? Maybe you want somebody to come, all those kind of things. Give us feedback. In-depth, it can be, we would like in-depth feedback, would like any form of feedback, but please give us your feedback, and would work on it. All the feedback we've been getting, we've been working on it. So please send your feedback to us. everyone that attended this call and registered, you get an email with the link. Let me see if I can get the link. I should have actually gotten the link. Wow. Okay. But yeah, give us your feedback, and I think that's going to be the end. Let me just get that link quickly and paste it here. Okay, so that's the link, and thank you very much, everyone. This is the end of our grad school series. Till next year, if we, if we get more wonderful people like how we had this year to come. Thank you very much. And we'll be sharing the recordings from week 1 down to today. So if you are part of the community, if you're registered, definitely you'll be getting the playlist link, and any of the resources that was being shared would also be shared across in the emails. So with that said, this is the end of our grassroots series, and once again, thank you. And also thank you to the Machine Learning Lagos team that came up with this, the reaching out, the designs, the everything. They too, they deserve, so that they're my organs. So it's not that next year I will maybe tell them, remember that you not say thank you. So apart from that, or actually in all honesty, thank you to the team for coming up with this and ensuring that we have a wonderful series and wonderful speaker. So that's the end. I'll just keep on saying thank you if I don't stop. So yes, bye everyone. Have a lovely week and see you when I see you. Bye.